can't be showing me that stuff, okay? Because I'm gonna be all live on an interview. I can't look at you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday evening. That means it's time for another edition of Circle Track Chatter. My name is Craig Smolders, joined as always by the legendary Rob Young. Good evening, Rob. How are you this evening?
Oh, great, Craig. And you?
I'm doing awesome. We want to apologize to the fans out there for a little bit of delay through the last interview, but we had to move. So unfortunately, when you move, the internet people say, "Yeah, we'll get your internet on Monday," and then Monday becomes 16 Mondays later. So, but we got the internet up and running now. We're back online, and it's always great to see your beautiful face, Rob. How you doing? How's everything going? You've been enjoying the downtime a little bit?
Yeah. As far as our business is concerned and the trailer business, we've been really busy. Finished up a bunch of winterizing that we do every year, and that takes a big chunk out of the time. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, this evening we're going to be talking to one of our newer modified drivers at Buxton Speedway on Saturday nights. We're going to be talking to the driver of the 31 modified. That's Chase Smith. Chase is going to come in here, but a little bit of Chase right from the opening. I know Chase a little bit. I've been out to his place once to drop some stuff off, but he's one of your super crew guys. Now he's turned driver, but he's your super crew guy. If you ever need a hand, Chase is going to be on the case for sure. What's your opening remarks on Chase Smith, Rob?
Oh, I've known him for a number of years as well, back from when he started in go-karts at Fog. So if I call him Chin's his nickname. His real name is Chase, but if I call him Chin, don't get confused. That's what I call him. So that's how that'll go.
Well, since you brought it up, we're going to have to get to the bottom of that and figure out where that nickname came from. We might want to. We might actually want to open with that and make sure we get that out of the way first.
Okay.
Let's get Chase in here and have a quick chat with him. There he is. Hi, Chase. How are you tonight?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. What's going on? You're in the off season now, so what's going on? Have you started building for next year? Or are you just sitting back and taking a break? What's happening?
Well, right as the season ended, I stripped my body off. I'll probably be making a new body this off season, but other than that, it's just sitting in my shop, and I need to start thinking about winterizing my motor as it's going to be getting cold out here soon. So yeah, that's in the cards. And but other than that, haven't really dove into it too much thus far.
Awesome. Rob, you got any opening questions for Chase before we get going here?
Well, Craig and I were just talking that we call you Chin, and Craig says, "Well, where did that nickname come from?" So let our audience know why do we call you Chin?
Okay, I wish I had a cool story about how the nickname came about, but it was actually my high school gym teacher who gave me the nickname. We were doing a obstacle course, and there was like at the end of the obstacle course, you had to like spin around on a bat and then like book it back to your team. And so I spun around on the bat, and I was a little bit too dizzy, and I ended up falling, and I hit my face off the ground, and I had to get some stitches in my chin. And he gave me the nickname Chin, and I hated it at first, but my friends just started calling me it. And yeah, now that's all that anyone calls me. So it stuck after a while. And yeah, that's what most people know me as in the racing community.
Honestly, I didn't really know your real name. No, that your Chin. Okay,
yeah,
so that and now you talk about you're stripping the car down. What modified chassis do you run, Chin?
I have a laser chassis. They were built by a guy out of Ohio. His name is John Staples. He passed away in about, I believe it was 2015 or 2016. I could be wrong on the year. But basically it's basically like a somewhat of a copy of a Pierce with a metric front end.
Yep. And what about the motor? What motor do you run in that?
I just have a 604 crate with some little bit of internal work. It has solid roller lifters. It doesn't have the hydraulics that come stock, and some updated valve springs, and that's it. So it's lacking a little bit, but I mean, on a night when the track gets super slicked off,
Yeah.
like and the other guys are just spinning their tires, I can give it some more throttle and make up for that loss of power.
That's great. Okay, back to you, Craig.
All right, so I guess we're going to kind of start right from the beginning before we get into racing here. Why don't you tell us a little bit kind of how you got into racing? Did you grow up a racing fan, or did you just go to the track? Did you have family in racing? Why don't you tell us, kind of walk us through how you got into racing?
Yeah, I'd say that I was kind of always involved in racing, not all the way through my childhood, but my earliest like remembrances of racing would be my dad had I'm not sure if they were street stock or econo stock. I'm not sure exactly the class, but I remember we lived on a gravel road, and I remember sitting in the passenger seat, or not the passenger seat, but basically on the floor, and him ripping up and down the gravel roads. So I was probably about 6 years old, and my dad, he raced a little bit in the early 90s, but he got out of it. I'm not sure exactly why he got out of it. But yeah, that'd probably be the start of my racing career, I guess.
Okay. And when your dad was racing, were you right involved with it? Were you out in the shop or whatever, turning wrenches, learning everything that you can, or were you just kind of a kid just hanging around, getting in the way?
Yeah, mostly just a kid hanging around, getting in the way. Yeah, I'm not even sure if Ridgetown would have been open at that time, but raced at South Buxton, and I do remember him having a enduro car, racing at Delaware, I believe. It was like a Rusty Wallace copy, like #2 Miller Lite.
Nice.
It was pretty sweet.
Oh, that's cool. Rob, do you have any questions about any of that?
Yeah, Chin's dad was his nickname was Smitty, Sean Smith, and his number was 99. I first met his dad at Fog, the go-kart track in Windsor. I want to say that's back in 2008 or 9 or something like that, maybe 7. But he would always, really a very friendly guy, always come up and say, "Hey, you had a good run on Saturday night," and like you just knew he was right in tune with racing. He knew everybody, and real supporter of the go-kart racing and Fog at the time. And yep, I mean he's gone now. About 14 years ago, wasn't it, Chin, that your dad passed away? But he was a great guy. Yep. But anyway, so back to the go-kart. You got started, and you were helping out, but you got started in go-karts at Fog Speedway. I see there's a picture there. You're getting a little air there. Your downforce. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I don't know if that you might be able to see better than me, Rob, but kind of looks like, I don't know if that's Terry Clifford. I can't tell.
He's got his arm up on his helmet, and you cut his left rear, and that happens in go-karts.
Yeah, I'm not sure how yeah, I think that's the beginning of my lower back pain right there.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, did you get shook up from that wreck, or were you kind of okay?
I think I was fine. Yeah, I didn't have the yeah, I think I was fine. Yeah. I'll probably continue to race after that.
I was just going to say, it didn't scare you out of the seat because you're still racing, so obviously it couldn't have been that bad, right?
Yeah.
But while we're talking about it, how did that come about, you getting into go-karts, into go-kart racing? Was that something that you want to try, or was just kind of available to you? How did all that come about?
Well, that would have been probably around 2009. My dad, him and Gary Weiss had a sports talk together, and Gary and my dad knew Ron Mayu, and this was kind of the early days of fog. So we just went out and watched, and like we thought like it was cool, you know, it was dirt track racing on a budget, and like a lot of guys just had like stock motors, and not necessarily backyard karts, but a lot of guys just had asphalt karts. So yeah, we decided that it was something, you know, that you could do outside of racing big cars. And yeah, so we got a couple asphalt go-karts, and we I don't even think we would have had the dirt tire setup at that time. But yeah, I remember just ripping them up and down my road and driving through my yard. That was really fun. It was before everything got serious.
What was that, your first experience, your first season or whatever, the first couple of times you were in the kart? What was that experience for you? Did it kind of take you back to the old gravel roads with your dad, or were you just out there ripping and tearing, taking it easy? How did you kind of come about in your go-kart racing?
Yeah, I mean, kind of just thrown into the fire, I guess. It's one of those things where, like, if you're an outsider looking in, you may think like, wow, it's crazy, you know, or they're going so fast. But, you know, once you're out there, it's kind of, everything just kind of slows down. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Craig? I kind of got
off. Absolutely. Yep. That's perfect. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, those pictures there are of fog, and as Chase said, that's back in 2008 or 9. It wasn't as highly technical as it is now. You know, when you go to Route 1 or if you raced at 5150, that has really evolved as far as they're serious about the racing and the chassis, motors and everything like that. It's really become a quite a sport, especially on the dirt. I know there's guys that race on the asphalt too, but this is really sophisticated go-kart racing on the dirt. I've often said this before, and some of the greatest stock car drivers come from racing go-karts, especially racing go-karts on the dirt like that. And so Chase is now into his modified there, and I'm sure that a lot of the things he learned from that he's applying to his modified. So it's fun to see young guys. When I say young guys, he's 36 years old. Man, that's a perfect age to be racing, whether it's go-karts or stock cars. I'm envious of guys of your age that do that kind of stuff. But anyway, back to you, Craig.
So how did you make out in your first season, Chase? Did you win any races, or were you just, like I say, just kind of out there getting the experience and working on things?
Yeah, just mainly experience, but there was a time where I was leading a heat race, and I went into turn 1 on the final lap, and you probably can't tell, but the nose on that particular go-kart, it wasn't fiberglass, it was plastic, and it wasn't like a super strong ABS, and I hit a hole in the bottom of turn 1, and it rolled my nose under my left front tire. And coming out of turn 2, I ended up in the bean field. So yeah, I have that picture, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, my dad never let me live it down, and a lot of my friends that I still race with, they don't let me live it down either. But that was the closest I came to any kind of checkered flag in my first season.
Well, that's really cool. So heading into your first off season, you head into the shop and you're gonna start going to work and tuning things up for the next year for 2010, because you decide that you're gonna keep on go-karting. So what's your first off season like? And you know, like what are you working on going into the your first off season? What kind of things are you working on? What do you want to get better at? Or again, are you just kind of learning the mechanics of the kart itself and working on setup and stuff like that? What's that like for you, Chase?
Yeah, so my second season, in the off season, My dad was really big on this this forum. It's not as big anymore because of Facebook, but it was called Bob's Fork Cycle. So he would talk to a lot of Americans about go-karts and, you know, setup and motors and stuff like that. And he really got the he really got the bug when it came to it. He bought a bunch of different motors. He had like a couple animals. He had a billet flathead, a Yamaha. Yeah, he was buying lots of stuff. He ended up buying a go-kart for himself and a go-kart for me. I believe this would have 2010. It was only a couple years old at the time. They were both Trick, I believe, Trick Joker chassis. So they were the offset chassis, dirt chassis, and my dad was super mechanically inclined, so he built a motor for me. I believe it was a stock appearing class. So he'd do a little bit of engine work, like change the piston, change the rod, change the flywheel, and the valves and stuff like that. And really, it was a world of difference between our first year racing and our second year racing, for sure.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, you know, you're asking about his what he wants to do in the off season and so on. And earlier we were talking that you're from Tupperville and you have your own shop there. So you work on the go-kart and you're modified in your own shop there in Tupperville?
Yeah. I currently don't have a go-kart anymore. Drew Smith has has my dad's old go-kart. He was gearing it up for his daughter. And Jay Cooker actually has my original go-kart that you see in the picture there.
Yeah.
And he still races it every once in a while.
Oh, there you go. So you got your modified in the shop. Now I know you help Drew Smith out a lot. Who helps you out, Chin? Like when you got to do all the work yourself? Drew, he helps me out. He wasn't racing a lot this year, so he was a big help. But if I'm at the track, I usually park beside Phil Villaranda. So Phil and Kyle and Joe and Victor, they help me out a lot with what I need. And Taylor Hooker and Cam Gagne, they helped me out in Oswego this year when I went down to race there. So yeah, usually just anyone that's close by, you know. A lot of racers, they like to offer their hand, you know, if they see that there's a lot of work that someone needs in order to get back out for the future. But for the most part, those kind of people. Most of it's you. You got to do it.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, and Cam's not going to be able to help you out too much because he's got his hands full with that new baby.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. That's I'm sure that kid will have a go-kart pretty soon. Well, not soon. Anyway, back to you, Craig.
Okay, well, I just want to keep going with the go-karting here. I see a checker flag down there. Would that have been your first feature win?
Yeah, it was a feature win, I believe. That would have been 2010, summer of 2010. Or around then, yeah. Could have possibly been 2011. I'm not 100% sure. But that's the only feature win that I got.
Okay. Well, let's see. Now that's really cool. So, how was that first year coming your win? Was it a huge lead, or did you have somebody right behind you? What was that like coming down to the last few laps of that race and winning?
Yeah, I can't remember. There was fog was a lot of tight racing. You wouldn't see a lot of people get out to huge leads, so there was probably someone right on me, and I bet you my heart was just pounding. I'm not 100% sure, but back then there was really only there was an open class and a stock appearing class, but that stock appearing class, they had to have had 50 go-karts easily. I remember them having C and B mains on, I believe, Monday night. Yeah.
Wow. C's
Mm,
and B's, eh? Holy cow,
yeah,
that's many cars.
yeah, there was a lot.
Wow. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
I'll just getting back to fog, and I won't waste a lot of time on it. But our shop was in Windsor on Walker Road, and it was almost on my way home. I lived in Kingsville, so on Monday night, as Chin said, they raced on Monday night. You go there and you get a hamburger and a Coke and watch some really good racing. And funny thing was, almost everybody I remember from Checker Flag closed up in '91. They all showed up at Fog, so it was like a reunion every night I went there. But not to take a lot of the time away from Chin here. So anyway, I'll turn it back to you, Craig.
Now, while you were go-karting, did you do any traveling at all? Did you race in the States or even in Ontario anywhere, or did you just kind of stick close to home?
Yeah, we went to there was a track past London, I believe. We went to Chesterman's one winter. That's in Tilsonburg, and it's slipping my mind. The track that a lot of the micro sprints race on, also just past London somewhere. I can't think of the name of that. We raced there once. We raced Grand Bend. They had a short-lived dirt track inside the quarter-mile track. And but probably the highlight of my go-kart career was racing at the inaugural event for the Little E at Eldora Speedway. That was really fun. Mm-hmm.
And you were at the inaugural event, the first ever race there.
Yeah. There was a lot of go-karts there. I went down with Drew Smith and his dad and Mark Teslin, and it was super fun. We like the racers down there on a whole nother level, and I don't know if we made it out of our mains. I think Drew might have made it out of his B main or C main, but yeah, I was nowhere near.
That's awesome. Well, just really quickly, since you brought it up, Drew and Dennis Smith, and you're Chase Smith, obviously. You guys aren't related, so why don't you kind of tell us how you guys got all hooked up together?
Okay, yeah. Drew, he grew up a couple concessions away from me. We played minor hockey together, and we worked together doing wind turbines. We traveled to Thunder Bay together, and we lived together for a few months. And he was really, I remember being up there, and he was looking at getting a race car. He'd really wanted to get back into it. He had a Comp 4 in the years prior, but he wanted to get something better. And I recall him looking at race cars when we were up north, and he returned home, and that's when he got his first modified.
Well, that's really cool. Rob, do you have any questions about any of that?
It's obviously Smith is a popular name, but you also have Clayton Smith in the 313 racing out there. So we've got three Smiths, and they're all really good racers. So I'll say something about that modified division that you guys race in. They are a very good class of racers. You don't see those guys roughing each other up too much. You race clean. It's always fun to watch those modifieds. As I say, I think that the guys that get into the modifieds are a little bit, they're just a really good group of racing guys, good guys. Anyway, back to you, Craig.
Okay, so you're going to get involved in modified racing and helping out Drew. Was that now going into the modified racing? Was that a whole new learning experience for you, or was it just kind of the same kind of mechanics, or were you studying and trying to figure out how everything was working on the modifieds?
Oh yeah, that's a totally different ball game than any other racing that I've seen before. Like when it comes to setup, especially with like the differences with a go-kart. Tire pressures are huge in go-kart racing, where in modified racing, like bar changes and wheel spacing and springs and shocks, like there's there's endless things, endless things to work on, endless things that can, help you out, and lots of things that can hurt your performance too.
Okay. Well, we just want to take a quick break here. We just want to have a quick word from our sponsor. And when we come back, we're going to actually dive into your personal life a little bit. We're going to talk about what you do career-wise and the things that you do for fun. So we're just having a quick break here. We'll be back with Chase Smith in just a couple of seconds. All right, welcome back to Circle Track Chatter. Also, thank you very much to Dupuis Media Production and also the Wiltons for helping us out with Circle Track Chatter. We're joined by the driver of the number 31 UMP Modified, Chase Smith. Before we went to commercial break, we just want to talk a little bit about your personal life, Chase. Why don't you kind of tell us what you do for a living, what you do for work, and that sort of thing?
Okay, yeah, so 14 years ago, I started in the wind turbine installations. They were building a wind farm close to my house. So actually, Drew Smith, he got me a job, my first ever wind turbine job, installing in Ridgetown. And I've been doing not necessarily installation, but other forms. Like I do, I maintain a wind farm right now. So, I've been in it for about 14 years now.
That's awesome. And as far as interests, hobbies, and stuff like that, what are you interested in? Are you a hockey fan, any kind of a sports fan? What are you doing for fun at home when you're not working on the race car?
Sundays in the off season, definitely watching the Detroit Lions. They're on a tear this year, which is good. Actually, Super Bowl favorites. So it'd be cool to see them make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, that's I agree. It'd be nice to see the Lions make it all the way. They deserve it. Detroit needs a real good shot in the arm, and that would be kind of cool. But back to this the wind turbine thing. I find that fascinating, and Chin and I we're talking about that earlier before we went on the show here. It's so you were telling me there's a one ladder that goes from the ground up. So when you get to it's not like you have an elevator or a lift system of some kind that lifts you up there. So you got to climb. How many feet high is that, Chin, that you have to climb up that inside those towers?
I believe it's about 250 feet, roughly.
Yeah, 200 feet. It takes you about 10 minutes to climb up that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's pretty good shape.
Sorry, go. Yeah. I mean, it's a form of exercise, but I wouldn't say that it's a full-on workout. It definitely it's not the funnest thing to do, especially right in the morning.
Yeah. You also tell me that there's a crane up there that you can winch all your tools up and stuff like that. But I was thinking, all right, so you obviously you don't work by yourself. You probably have a team member or something that's on the ground that you might be in communication with. So if you want to make sure that if you happen to drop something or that guy can't be in the way, because I mean that would hurt, wouldn't it? Getting a wrench in the
Yeah, it's there's definitely a drop zone that you want to stay out of. Accidents like that do happen. Like we hear about them all the time. So yeah, and something falling, something as small as a bolt that's falling from a height like that can cause some serious damage.
I remember my physics days, and I think that an object affected by gravity will travel at 120 miles an hour. So that's, I mean, that would really hurt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had some close calls in my days, but luckily I haven't been hit in the head. But yeah, definitely, it does hurt. And given the size of the object that's fallen, yeah, it could be fatal for sure.
But it's very interesting. But most of us just drive by them and drive down the 401. We see them, and we don't think about unless you see a little oil leak and another thing. Don't think about the maintenance. So this is quite a career. You said you've been doing it for 14 years. You could go on. They say there's like a 20-year life expectancy in most of these turbines. So this is something you could do for until you wanted to retire. So I'm and it's and there's a lot of them, so they need a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. The farm that I work on, it's about 14 years old. So after the 20-year power agreement that companies have with the government is up, they'll have to renegotiate the terms. So, I mean, hopefully, it's in the company's favor to keep producing. I mean, you see that like we're only gonna need more power with the way Canada's growing right now. So hopefully it'll last longer than 20 years.
Anyway, good for you. I think that's a good career. Back to you, Craig.
All right, so we that was very interesting, but we know you're a Lions fan now, so that I'm sure that'll make some people happy, and some people won't be necessarily happy. So hopefully you gain some fans that way, anyway. But back to the racing, you hang out on Drew Smith's crew for a while. You're kind of helping out in the pits. What were those few years? Because I guess you kind of hung out in the pits for a while before you actually decided to step up and get your own race car. What was that like with Drew? I know that you guys last year did some traveling, but prior to that, did you guys do a lot of traveling in the States at all, or just? I know you race at Oshewick and places like that, but as far as successes and going places, how was it like being on the crew for Drew Smith?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, Drew's been at it for I guess since about 2012ish. He's got a lot of knowledge. I guess that's the only car that he's ever really driven. And he's won lots of races, so he's a good guy to have in your corner, especially if you're wondering what to do with the car for your future, or even like helping with repairs and stuff. He's been around it for a long time. But to answer more of your questions, Drew is friends with a guy from Ohio. His name's Brent Hole. He also is a modified racer. So, Drew, I believe early on, he raced at Waynesfield in Ohio, and he'd usually make a point to hit up Eldora every year, even though we didn't always run the greatest. It's just a great atmosphere. I say it's like the Daytona of dirt racing.
Well, you guys are doing a lot with a little bit over there because it's not like you have a $5 million budget and all the top equipment over there. You're kind of making it work with the crate and doing your thing and still winning races. Talk about some of those experiences a little bit and what it takes to make a car go fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always, on dirt, it's not always the guy who spends the most. It's the guy who has the most experience, and it's almost like a battle of attrition. Like you could be, you could be running third, and the leaders could wipe themselves out. I think Drew got a win. I don't know if that was his first win, but you just have to be there at the end.
Absolutely, Rob. Do you have any questions about that?
Well, Drew is a very well-respected racer. He's very, as you say, very knowledgeable and a really good racer. What a guy to work with, and obviously, you're learning from him. But man, it's those modifieds with little 8-inch tires, and I mean they're a really good race car. Lots of adjustment. Really it's a neat car, and it's fun to watch. They really put on a good show, don't they? I mean, you're involved in there as well, but those modifieds, they're always, as I say, putting on a good show. Anyway, back to you, Craig.
All right. So at some point you decide that you want to decide racing on your own. Why don't you talk us through how that came about and what that whole experience was like for you?
Okay, yeah, this would have been about 2018. I was doing a lot of traveling for work, and I decided that it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Um, so I believe I don't know if this was the first year of the Thunderstock class or maybe the second, but it was an up and coming class, and I wanted to get into racing and try my hand. So Brandon Hine had a Monte Carlo for sale. I ended up buying it off of him. I believe it was an old asphalt car. Um, Worked on it all winter. Did a lot of work to it. It kept me busy for my first winter home. And yeah, this would have been still on the D configuration at Buxton. So I got to experience that. Wasn't a huge fan. Yeah, it's
Why
definitely.
is that? Sorry, Chase. I don't mean to cut you off, but tell me why. Because I've had a lot of conversations about the D shape versus the straight oval. Why did you not like the D shape?
It just seemed like when you're coming off turn four, you got the D kind of by the like you got the almost like a little dog leg by the flag stand. So it was almost like when you were going into turn one, like you were already like like kind of already turning. Whereas on a true oval, you when you're going into turn one, you can really set up for the corner, but yeah, the D, I just found it tricky to get set up in turn one.
Well, I would think, I mean, obviously not really being a racer myself, I would think that coming out of four, you would want to be on the gas, and then you're kind of on the gas, but sort of expecting a dog leg. So maybe if they would have inverted it and had the dog leg like on the backstretch type of thing, maybe it would have been a little bit better. I don't really know. I'm just asking. I'm just trying to get
Oh,
how you guys feel about that whole thing.
yeah, well, how did you had some seat time this year? How did you feel about that?
I don't know. I was so far out of my element. I don't even think I knew where I was on the track, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay.
They're supposed to put numbers on the track. So the Marsh boys, you have to put numbers so rookies know where they are on the track. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Chin said it best. I don't think I could have could have described how the D was any better than he just did. You were in a turn. You're kind of in a turn all the way down through the D, and it did set you up for going into one. So entering one was pretty easy. Now getting off out of two was a little tough because you had a kind of a straight shoot down the back straightaway. But yeah, but I'll be honest. I liked the new configuration better. I like the speed more. It was it took it was a little bit more technical running the D. The new track that they have right now, I'll tell you, is I think there are guys that are pretty close to running wide open around that track. So I think that is if you've ever run a car wide open like that and you just had to basically touch the brake to set yourself up going into the turn, there's nothing like that. Just running wide open. So I'm a fan of the new track. So, but I liked I liked the way he described how the old track used to be. It brought back some fond memories, that's for sure. Anyway, back to you, Craig.
So I guess you would have got to experience a little bit of both then. I guess you would have raced on the D and then you would have also raced on the straight oval. So, what was like that? I mean, you learn the D shape and then you got to relearn everything. I mean, you would have raced on a pretty straight oval when you were doing the go-karts, but were you trying to figure everything out again on a straight oval, or were you kind of happy you just put your foot to the floor and give her all the way around there? Or what was that like for you?
Oh, well, if you're talking about my first experience, I guess it was my second time out in practice. The wall bit me in turns one and two. Yeah, like it's bit many people. I think a lot of guys that were used to the D, they might have struggled a little bit when it first came to a true oval. I know that might have been a practice session. I think Jimmy Dale put it in the wall in the same spot that I put it in the wall. So definitely tricky. I don't know if it's the difference between the D and the true oval, or it's on my part, it was probably just lack of experience, but it learned me some things.
Well, now this oval here, because of how it was the configuration was kind of already there. It's a little bit tricky getting around the track anyway, because you kind of have to diamond 3 and 4, right? Like you don't really kind of ride the high side, or because I've heard some people say diamond the corner in 3 and 4. Do you have to run it a little bit different, or is that just kind of the way it is for the drivers?
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I wouldn't say that it's a true oval because 1 and 2, are a little bit different than 3 and 4. 3 and 4 seems a little bit tighter, but definitely, I think that the new configuration of the track is definitely it's definitely widened out and allows for some better like side by side racing.
Absolutely. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, he's again, even though it to the eye it looks like the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are the same, but they're not. 1 and 2 is squared off a little bit, and that's what Chin is talking about. And you're carrying a lot more speed at this track. So if you happen to hit a rut or you get in trouble, that 1-2 wall is a little flatter than 3 and 4. So that's why you'll see a lot of guys wrecking down in there. But it's just because it's a lot. You're carrying a lot more speed, and yeah, the track gets a little rough. Cars are bouncing around. You can bounce from one groove to another. But the fact that you can run 3 wide and Craig, you're talking about diamond and 3 and 4. Yeah, that's a way of getting around it too. Drive the car in hard and then come out low. There's a number of ways you could drive this track. The old track wasn't really like that. So that's again, I am a fan of the new configuration. So I don't want to be biased in any way, but that's why guys do get in a little trouble down there in 1 and 2. Anyway, back to you, Craig.
Okay, well, that was all good information for some of the non-drivers out there like myself. We always kind of like to learn because we watch TV, or you hear the announcer saying, excuse me, hear the announcer saying "dime in the corner," and you may not know, if you're not a driver, you may not know what that means. So that's all good information. So thank you for providing that, Chase. Up there, we got some pictures of Drew Smith. That's from the 2021 season. Why don't you walk us through your 2021 season and what was that was like for you guys?
Yeah, it was a good year. I think we might have won 3 or 4 races. Would have been prior to the season. I guess prior to 2020. Actually, I think it's the car on the bottom there. Yeah. Me and Drew, we partnered together and we bought a late model off Brad Simpson, and we had all intentions of running a late model schedule, splitting time between the two of us. And late in the off season, this motor came up for sale, and we decided that we'd trade a rolling chassis late model rocket for this motor, which was 408, decent motor. And so we decided to do a complete 180 and put the motor in Drew's modified because he still had it. And I believe it might have the bottom picture might have been our first night out, 2021. And Drew was like, should I just hang back? I really don't know what we got here. And he decided not to hang back, and he went out and won. And that kind of started our season off. I think originally we were gonna run like a split schedule, like he races, some nights and I race the other. But Drew stayed in the seat because he was he was first in points, and I might have won 4 races that year roughly, and on a shortened season, and won the championship. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. And what was that like for you, being the crew person on that team? You win a championship, you see your driver go, you've been working hard all season turning wrenches, and your driver goes out there and wins the championship. What was that like for you, Chase?
Yeah, it was awesome. Even being a crew guy, like I think I'm more nervous, watching a car that I'm invested in than actually driving my own. So it's nerve wracking at times, but Drew's a pretty good driver, and he kept it clean all season, and he was super consistent. Or I guess we were super consistent, and I think we might have. I don't think we had a finish that was outside of the top 10 or the top 5 that season.
That's awesome, and congratulations to you, of course, on that championship. And I mean, like I said, you're turning wrenches all year, and then you see your driver coming across the start finish line, and he's the champion on championship night or whatever, and he's the champion. So that's really cool because, like I said at the beginning of the show, you're a super crew guy, and that proves it right there. You're a championship winning crew guy now, of course. So that's amazing. Congratulations on that, Rob. Do you have any questions about any of that stuff?
No, I just noticed on Drew's car it says SFM Wind. Is that the same that's the company you work for? Is it, Chin?
No, that's the company that I worked for at the time, and the owner of the company, he was nice enough to sponsor us a set of tires.
Oh.
So that probably helped out with our year for sure, because everyone knows how expensive those are these days.
You got that right. Anyway, back to you, Craig.
All right. So at some point you decide that, you know what, I've had enough of this Thunderstock and I've had enough of all this stuff. I would like to go racing myself, modified racing, I should say. What brought that on? What was that like? I mean, obviously, not everybody knows this, but that's Drew's old car. So you kind of walk us through what that brought that on and how that all came about for you.
Okay. Yeah. So me and Drew, we were partnered together on this same chassis. The 2013 Laser, and a car came for sale that Drew really had his eye on. It was a 2018 Diamond Select, so we split on that car, and Drew he raced it for a season, and kind of in the middle of the season, he said, I told him that I kind of wanted to race too. So he knew of a motor that Jimmy Dale had, and we bought it and we got it rebuilt. And Drew had the chassis, like full roller, and so he helped me, and we put it all together. We didn't get it together until the end of the season, so I wasn't able to race. With it, but I was able to do some practice sessions with it. I believe the picture on the bottom right there, that was my second practice session out, and that's when I put it in the wall and bent the rear clip over. So wasn't fun, and I thought the car was totaled, but I'm still racing the same car.
So you think that modified racing is going to be fun, and then you go out there and destroy your car, and then you're kind of thinking, well, maybe I should have rethought that. Yeah,
like I had my first practice session out there at the bottom left. Yeah, the bottom left. That'd be my first time out. I wasn't pushing it too hard, but I also I wasn't going slow by any means. But yeah, just my second practice session, I believe it was in October. It was actually, I think it was me. I was the only car there, other than I think Will Marsh was there in his sprint car, and he had some problems. But I definitely wasn't planning on having to tear it apart. I was planning that off season to get a new set of shocks, but instead I got a new rear clip.
While we've got the picture up there, number 31. How did you come up with number 31?
Actually, when I originally started racing at Fog, I wanted my number to be 30, but they told me that number was already taken. So 31 was the next closest number. I wish I had some story that it had some sentimental meaning, but it really doesn't. But I mean, there's lots of 31s out there at the track. So
Yep.
yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, you will have started it yourself, right? So if you ever have children or whoever that get into racing, or anybody else that you you know, a member of your family, now they can carry on the number 31, and you will have started the 31 legacy in your name.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've never thought about it like that, but yeah, that's a great point.
Yep. There you go. Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Well, I mean that bottom right hand picture, it looks like that rear clip was bent pretty bad, but you said you reclipped the car and you're still racing that one today. Yeah, good for you. It sounds like for a guy who's 36 years old, you've done a lot of racing in your life, and got lots of experience. But you can't you can't beat the experience you get from guys like Drew Smith. He can teach you a lot of stuff that'll will get you to leapfrog into getting the car to handle and being a better driver. Sometimes more than the track experience or the seat time. Just listening to guys like that, that's going to really be helpful for you. And I can see that it's working. Good for you, Chin. I'm glad that we had a chance to talk about all this stuff, because I know a heck of a lot more about you right now than I did. And I thought I knew you. So there you go. Anyway, back to you, Craig.
All right. So still working on the crew for Drew Smith. At the beginning of this season, you guys had a pretty cool opportunity to do some traveling. Why don't you tell us where you went, and because you guys were traveling around the States, why don't you tell us what that experience was like for you? I know a group of you went down there. So what was that like for you, Chase?
Oh, it was amazing. You know, I've been to Oswego before, and I've been to Eldora, and like they're both like world-class facilities. But we went to Fairbury, Illinois, and yeah, just the track and, you know, the amount of modifieds that were there. Like I don't know if I think they had about over 100 modifieds, and the track itself is, you know, I'd say that it would rival Eldora as a premier track in the U.S. Obviously, like two totally different tracks. You know, the Fairbury is, I could be wrong here, I want to say that it's a little bigger than a quarter mile bull ring. But yeah, it was a great experience. We got rained out on one of the nights. I think that kind of, you know, set us back. But yeah, I think if Drew goes back this year, he'll definitely have a lot more knowledge for that track, and I mean, maybe he'll even make the show. You never know.
Absolutely. And then eventually you make your way back home, and you jump back in the jump back in the modified for the 2024 season. You start a little bit late, but you know, I got to tell you, you did a heck of a job, Chase. Of course, I'm out in the grandstands each and every Saturday. And to me, watching you get around that track with some of the stuff you had to deal with, I know that you had a car that kind of Bob Chapman kind of flipped sort of right around you. That was one race that you were involved in. Not that it was your fault, but I'm just saying, you know, that kind of stuff is going on. But even still, you were putting the modified right up there. You're running up front a few nights, and had a heck of a 2024 season. Why don't you walk us through your 2024 season, how everything was for you?
Yeah, I'd say that I'm still learning the ins and outs of the modified, especially when it comes to handling. Like especially on an 8-inch tire, you know, too much throttle on a slick spot, you know, that can send you for a spin. So, I mean, I think I definitely struggled with that. Near the end of the year, though, I think I was getting a grasp on it. Led some laps. Didn't get any feature or heat race wins. Got a couple second places in my heats. But yeah, just continuing to learn every night. There's always something to learn. The track's never the same. You know, it could be super hammered down one night and super slicked off the next.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, the track, unfortunately, the staff had some issues with the track. So one night it might have been a plowed field, and the next night it might have been smooth as glass. While you're trying to work on figure out the modified, you also got to figure out the track. What was how do you go into a night? You pull into the pits and you look at the track and say, "Oh boy, this is going to be a long night." How do you kind of work that? Calm yourself down and say, "I'm just going to go out there and run my race and get what I get." How do you kind of work that out in your mind?
Yeah, usually just any racer can look at a surface and they can tell what they have to do for the most part. On those really hot nights, that it's going to be dry. You know that it's going to be like a dry, spotty track. And usually in the feature, for the most part, some of that moisture, when it gets cooler, some of that moisture is going to come up. And although it won't be super fast track, there's definitely some grip there. Usually more grip in the features. Yeah.
Awesome. Rob, do you have any questions about any of that?
Well, yeah, he's you can actually see the way the track was prepped this year. It was a lot of dry, slick nights, but you could see the dark, wet spots coming out of turn 4 and coming out of turn 2. There was a lot of bite down there. If your car would handle down there, you get a really good drive off. That's what I noticed. I mean, from the grandstands, it was pretty cool. But anyway, I'm looking at these pictures you have up here, and I see Kirk Hooker's daughter Taylor and her husband Cam Gagne, and they just had a new baby. You have a special relationship with them. I mean, you guys are like brother and sister. That's I'm sure that goes back a long ways, but they are great supporters of you, and I can tell just by seeing you guys together that you have a great relationship. And also, I know we're going to talk about your sponsors, but I see Rob Klein's Dirt Dog Media up there. He's real excitable about his name being on cars and getting out there. He's just a great ambassador to our sport, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. Especially, someone like him who he hasn't been involved in racing really all that long. Drew's dad brought him out a few years ago, and it really, he loved it, and he used to do a lot of filming from the stands. So I think a lot of racers really appreciate that. Before Circle Track Chatter, he was filming, and it gives racers something to go look back at after the races. So you got to give tip my hat to Rob for doing that, and also Craig for doing it this past year. Yeah, I think not only me but all the racers, they really appreciate stuff like that.
Yeah, I know that they're sometimes as far as management's concerned, they're not fans of having a production of their show, but I think I have a different opinion of that. I think that there's a lot of people who are at home who might not be able to get to the races and can watch it and would love to watch it live. They're not going to watch it. They're not going to stay away from the track just to watch it at home. They'll go there when they can. Everybody likes to see it live, but I'm quite an advocate to having a live production of a show, and I agree with you. Watching it after, you sometimes don't understand what was going wrong with my car, and you watch and the guys around you, and there might be an altercation, but sometimes your opinion changes when you see that. So I don't know how to go about this, but I think there should be a production of each race that we can watch at home. It would be great if it's live, that's for sure. But anyway, just my opinion. Not to take anything away from what they're doing right now, but just my opinion. Back to you, Craig.
All right. Well, you mentioned Dirt Dog Media, and why don't you take a second here because it takes a lot to get these cars to the track. Do you have some other sponsors out there that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I've got to thank John and Nancy Lankoff. They're on the bottom there. Jane on Motorsports. He's always in the stands every week watching, and he supports me financially, and he gives me lots of words of encouragement. And Kim as well. She's always there to. She gives me lots of encouragement as well, even on the nights when I don't do so good. And I got to thank Mike Legui, my engine guy. His sponsor is not on there, but yeah, he's always he's only a phone call away, and he does a lot of the work for free, which helps me out. I got to thank Justin Sineve with All Ears Clinics. He did me up a set of custom molded earbuds last season, so I can't thank him enough. Yeah, I got to thank Kirk Hooker with Hook Stumping. He always helps me out with anything that I need, setup wise or tire tools, stuff like that. Phil Villaranda, got to thank him too. He's a guy who put the rear clip on my car. He does a lot for us. He's a great fabricator, and he's got anything you need. When it comes to like building bumpers or anything like that, he's the guy. And yeah, I got to thank Rob Klein as well. I know. We just went through thanking him, but he pays for my wrap every year. Yeah, can't thank him enough. Thanks, Rob. Labels out, Craig.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure I thanked everyone. Just 1 second here.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I also got to thank Jason Jackson with Legacy Forklift. Yeah, he helps us out whenever he can. So thanks, Jason.
Awesome. Well, that is all very good. And we've kind of come to the end of our question session here. But one question I always like to ask before we let you off the hook here. If money is no object, you can go anywhere, do anything. What's the dream race? What's the dream track? What is it for Chase Smith?
Oh, if money was no option, big old toter with a Staku trailer and top of the line late model. Yeah, World 100 or Eldora Dream. Yeah, I think that's a lot of dirt racers' dreams for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Rob, do you have any other closing questions for our buddy Chase Smith here?
Nope. Other than I look forward to seeing Chin race next year. I'm sure he's going to step it up a little bit there and put on a good show. So and it was just a pleasure talking to him. I learned a lot more, even though I thought I knew Chin pretty good. I learned a lot more than from talking to him tonight. So thanks a lot, Chin.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you having me on, and appreciate all that you do for the local and provincial racing community. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chase. And you always, I see you in the grandstands at the track each and every Saturday night. You always got a big smile and a big hello for me and a handshake and whatever. So I appreciate that. It's always good to see you at the track. So yeah, we wish you the best of luck in 2025 season, and hopefully you get everything put together here during the off season, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, sounds great. Hope to see you guys out there.
Yeah. Thanks, Chase. Take care.
Yep. Okay. Take care.
Well, there you go, Rob. We know a little bit more about Chase Smith, or Chase Chin Smith, whichever way you wanna phrase it there. But heck of a nice guy, always a big smile, and just one of your good guys. And like I said, super crew guy, good driver, just kind of got it all together. What's the closing remarks on Chase Smith?
Oh, really a nice young man, great personality. He's a very dedicated person. I can see whatever he does. It's going to be first class. And I mean, you see him when he comes and goes from the track, pulls his race car to the track with an open trailer and a pickup truck, just like we used to do in the old days. And by talking to him, you can see he does a lot of the work himself. He's one of those guys that helps more other other guys out more than he gets help himself. He just does everything himself. So it's and he's knowledgeable. He's mechanically inclined with being in the career he has with the wind turbines and stuff like that. You gotta be pretty mechanical. So I think that and the right age too. 36 years old. Holy smokes, he's got lots of years of racing ahead of him.
Yes, yes, absolutely, he does. Unfortunately, at this point, we thank very much Chase for joining us. We received some sad news last week. We lost one of our very own drivers, Brad Bloomfield, suddenly passed away. Our thoughts and prayers obviously go out to his family and friends and the entire racing community and anybody that he was involved in. He touched a lot of lives. He was a great personality. Rob, why don't you give us a quick take on Brad Bloomfield?
Well, Brad was a personal friend of mine. I raced against him. We raced each other really hard. I was extreme. I was shocked, and like everyone was. I believe he was 36 years old as well. Heart-related problem. I went through some heart problems a couple years ago, and basically that took me out of racing. And I have a pacemaker now, and I can't weld anymore. I can't do a lot of things I used to do, but I'm 65 years old, so what can I expect? I had a lot of fun. Young family, just his young son was just born. He has a daughter. I'm still trying to get over it. I just can't believe it, but it's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Anybody that can help the family out in any way financially, I know that there's a GoFundMe thing going on if you're interested in doing that. I know that his family's going to need some help, so appreciate everything that everybody does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's still fresh on everybody's mind, and I'm not trying to push any issues or anything, but if they have any sort of if the family wants to have a memorial race or something like that, and there's something Circle Track Chatter can do to kind of help that along or promote it or get the word out or help in any way, Brad Bloomfield family, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm always here. Angela Young Bonner is always back in the production studio. She'll give you a hand. So if you guys need any help with anything, we need to get the word out, just let us know. We're always happy to help, especially in bad times and good times too, of course. But when there's bad times, everybody needs a quick hand of support. So yeah, Brad Bloomfield family, if you guys need anything we can do to help you out, let us know. And again, we're very sorry for your loss, and we hope that our thoughts and prayers with you, that you can find some peace in your life. I know there's a lot of tough things going on in that home, so that family's gonna have to deal with a lot of struggles here in the next little while. So anything we can do, we're always here, and we'd be glad to give a helping hand in any way that we can in that situation. And again, we're very sorry for your loss. Next, in 2 weeks, we are going to be joined by a go-kart driver. We're going to have Rob Elwood. He's going to join us in a couple of weeks. That'll be in a couple of Mondays. So we look forward to that. What do you know about Rob? Just very quickly, Rob Young.
Well, he's an Amherstburg guy. So he's almost like my neighbor. He only lives, as the crow flies, probably about a couple miles away from me. Both him and Chris Cuvion, they're from Amherstburg, so I get to see him quite often. In fact, we were at a party on Saturday night. Jake Hooker had a sponsor appreciation thing, and both Rob Elwood and Chris were there. They won the bean toss competition, so those two guys are very competitive. So I got to find out from him. He goes by the name of Archer Sterling, so I got to figure out what that's all about. But if I could take a moment, I'd like to tell a kind of a funny story about Brad Bloomfield. Back when he got started racing, he had an enclosed trailer, and it was pretty rough, and it had us guys in the trailer business, if you have tires that are 5 years old, you need to change them. They get dry rotted. And if they got lots of tread on them, once they're 5 years old, they jump. So Brad had this trailer, and so we're on our way home, and lo and behold, he blows a tire. And okay, well, that's great. He had a spare, and we sort of traveled together when we did when we go to the track. And So he blows the tire, put the spare on. Well, when you know it, he blew that. Not only did he blow that, he ended up blowing 3 tires, and he brought the trailer home on 2 tires. There's 2 tires on 1 axle. But the funny part about this story is we had to keep pulling over. Like, I mean, there's chunks of rubber flying off. We had to keep pulling over and help Brad change the tires on his trailer. And at one point, I remember sliding the jack underneath the trailer. I missed the frame, and I'm jacking the thing up, and the trailer won't go up in the air. Well, I was jacking the jack right through the floor of the trailer. So it was just one of them things when he got home. Luckily, he lived in Cottam, so it wasn't too far. But he'd blew 3 tires. As I said, Brad and I were pretty competitive. In fact, I remember we were racing at a track in it was called Owendale Speedway. They call it Silver Bullet now. Brad and I went down there, and whenever we raced each other, it was once you put that helmet on, we were hard racers, and so both he and I wrecked halfway through the feature. He kept crowding me down, and I wasn't going to let him do that, and I kept moving him up, and finally we both wrecked. And so I was watching the video a week later of this race, and the announcer says, I don't know, both these guys are from a track up in Ontario, and they're supposed to be buddies, but they just wrecked each other. That Brad and I raced each other really hard, but we were dear friends, and I really am gonna miss him. The big smile that he had at the racetrack, and always big, hey buddy, how you doing? I'm gonna miss that guy. It's just sad. I feel awful for his family, but that it's just part of life, and unfortunately, we just remember the good times. But I have a number of funny stories, and that sort of takes away some of the pain for me, thinking about those good times. But yeah, most of them involved wrecks, but yeah, we were hard competitors.
Absolutely. Well, that's hopefully you'll be able to share some more stories with us, because we always love the stories. Because obviously, as a grandstand dweller, I never get the experience in the pits and all the kind of stuff that goes on. So the fans always appreciate hearing the stories of all the stuff that we never see. But yeah, we're all kind of upset, shocked at the loss of Brad Bloomfield. So hopefully, like I said, friends and family can find some peace going forward. But yeah, thank you very much, Rob, for joining us. I don't have any other comments or questions or anything. Do you got anything that you kind of got to get off your mind, or are you all
Nope.
set there?
Nope. Just we'll be talking to Elwood there in a couple of weeks. It'll be fun to hear his take. He's a really good go-kart racer. Like he's really serious about it. He's just as serious as Chris Kuvion. So glad to talk to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Craig Smolders. That's Rob Young and Angela Young-Bonner back in the production studio. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us each and every other Monday night that we're doing these interviews. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. And thanks to Dupuis Media Production and the Wiltons for helping us out. Hope you guys have a great Monday evening and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll talk to you the next time. Circle Track Chatter